College football week 2, it did not disappoint, and we are so excited to be here. The Big 12, however, they disappointed. The top of the Big 10 looks elite. You got the SEC performing well in the non-conference. The ACC, their best hopes are Miami and and Florida State right now. You have South Florida being the biggest surprise. Can they crash the college football playoff party? And so much more to talk about today, because we got to talk about the real generational talent and what we're really seeing out of Arch Manning and Bryce Underwood as well. The FPI is going crazy and so much stuff here. I'm George Wrighster, former NFL player, college football player, college football analyst on CW, and thankful that next week when you tune into the Miami South Florida game, whose mug you gonna see right there? Your boy right here. So I appreciate you. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. We always got the heat. All right, so we are going to start with the Big 12. Because the Big 12, remember I told you guys in the preseason, made a whole video about it, that the Big 12, their Brett Yormark, their commissioner, talking about that they want more than one college football playoff bid in the 12 team. And I told y'all they had very few opportunities in the non-conference to prove and show that they could do it, and they were about it. Well, guess what? They showed up and they absolutely have flopped. They have flopped. They have face planted and every other negative thing that you can say in between. And this weekend was brutal. This weekend was absolutely brutal for the Big 12, because think about this. You had um uh, Oklahoma State get, I don't even know what you call that. Dan Lanning should be thrown in jail for what happened at Oklahoma State. 69-3. Army turned around and beat Kansas State, the team that I picked to win the Big 12 and go to the college football playoff. I apologize, Utah. I apologize, BYU. I apologize to anybody that I was sleeping on, except these teams right here. Mississippi State hosted ASU, knocked their doors off. Uh, Ohio beat West Virginia. Missouri beat Kansas after having a big lead. It wasn't good. So all of this has led to how many teams are going to get in the college football playoff. And we got to talk about the lies. I got to tell some truths about teams that people don't really want to hear. But the first truth that we are going to tell is surrounding Arch Manning and is surrounding Bryce Underwood. And you guys make sure that you like, subscribe, put your stuff in the chat, and I will respond to your questions and comments in the chat as well. So Bryce Underwood and Arch Manning. Now, here is the truth. So you had Arch Manning against Texas last week, against Ohio State last week, big matchup, and then this was Bryce Underwood's turn, because we have heard the term generational talent surrounding both of these guys. And they have been anointed before they have put enough on tape to believe that they are true. Now, if it were up to me and you were like, George, you can either take the future in college football, forget the pros, the future of college football of Bryce Underwood or the future of college football of Arch Manning, I'm taking Bryce Underwood. Yep, 100%. George, you know he went 9 for 24 against Oklahoma? Yes, I do. But you know what I didn't get? I didn't get deer in headlights. I did not get, form all funky, moment feels too big. I didn't get any of that. Now, Arch may turn out to be a fantastic NFL pro like everybody's talking about. But for right now, what we have seen through these 2 games of these players this season, give me Bryce Underwood. But the anointing is premature for both. Way premature. And here's the other part about this Texas game, where Arch Manning came out and threw 4 touchdowns in the first half. Everybody was so excited about it. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the truth is that when you look at the tape, Arch's feet are still bad. He still is turning down reads. If Texas's offensive line had not been so stellar in the game, he would not have had nearly the amount of stats and yards as were uh, in the first half. So he finished 19 for 30, 295 yards, and 4 touchdowns in their 38-7 win over San Jose State. And there were times like it was a mixed bag where Arch, like you were like, okay, nice throw. And then you're like, why are you skipping that ball? And then there's turning down reads and stuff. So it is confusing. And I have 2 quarterback sons. And the thing that it looks like to me when I watch it, that I've seen happen in my own kids, that I've seen happen in other people's kids, there is something going on with his confidence right now. People are wondering if he's hurt, if he's been grimacing, throwing, whatever it is. Whether it is confidence in his arm, whether it is confidence in his, in the scheme, in the play calling, if the moment's too big, either way, there is something going on internally in Arch Manning, and hopefully it can get fixed. Because if not, we have built, and y'all, excuse me, not we, y'all and the media and the public have built this kid up so big just to be able to cut him down later. And it is unfortunate, and it is a blessing and a curse that he has this last name. Because if his name was Arch Wrighster, granted, there's a little gravitas that comes to being a Wrighster, having an NFL dad, but it ain't the same as being a Manning. And in terms of college football, let's just be real about that. But then there was another kid that we were throwing around the term generational talent last year as well, and that's DJ Lagway. So how many times do we have to be fooled and learn? And I know that we live in a media day and age, and this is why you come to George Rice's college football show, The Unafraid Show, is to hear the truth. There are so many times that in media we want to be in the hot take business. We want to anoint somebody so quick the way we can be right and be first. Everybody wants to be the first person to make the grand statement about a player. But look at DJ Lagway as well. Generational talent. Oh man, this kid is going to be the next greatest thing. And through 2 games at Florida, how does it look this year? Not that great, right? Because nobody was using the common sense that was just that God gave us. DJ Lagway missed all of spring ball, came into camp hurt, finished last season hurt, no reports of surgery, but we think that he was going to have a great season, especially to start. Where's the calculus in that? It doesn't make any sense at all. And there is a reason why DJ Lagway is struggling right now. And do you know who else that they were talking about generational talent as well recently? Dylan Raiola over there at Nebraska. Nothing about Dylan Raiola looks generational at this point in time. Physically, he looks great getting off the bus. Physically, these kids look great getting off the bus. But the thing that I've learned in quarterbacking in terms of my own sons and watching other people's kids and everything else, it is so much about confidence. It is about fit. It is about being emotionally healthy. And there was a coach that told me, and I know that Dion got a lot of pushback from this about saying that kids need to come from good homes and all of this stuff. But it's not even that. Well, 2-parent homes and all. No, kids have to be emotionally healthy to play this position, and in a home that doesn't go like this. It's just the reality. But let's get into the games from this week and all the stuff that has gone on. And we are going to start with the Michigan and Oklahoma game. Now, you may have seen the video last night here on Unafraid Show, but if you didn't, full recap on it. Brent Venables, who people came into this season questioning, he showed up and showed out. And I knew that we were going to be looking at peak Oklahoma because, and this was a 24-13 victory. Peak Oklahoma because Brent Venables took this defense back over, and you cannot discount the job that this man has done schematically at Oklahoma and then at Clemson. And when you put Bryce Underwood, a rookie quarterback, a freshman quarterback, up against Brent Venables, it is almost like going against Bill Belichick as a rookie quarterback. They have terrible records in the NFL. And Michigan is a year away. So for all you crazy people on message boards saying that that Jerome Moore is terrible, the Michigan culture, I guess you forgot what happened the beginning of Jim Harbaugh's tenure. You just won a championship 2 years ago. Settle down. You didn't have a quarterback last year. The roster is younger. He's rebuilding and not just run and punt football. This is smash mouth football, and it is also going to be able to pass the football. This is why I'm high on Bryce Underwood going forward. Michigan is going to be a hot spot for wide receivers because they want to play with that dude. I'm telling you that right now. I've asked around, and that is the report that I've gotten, is that kids want to play with Mr. Bryce Underwood. And the SEC is going to have their hands full with Oklahoma. But also, Oklahoma has their hands full with the SEC. When you look at their upcoming schedule, they got Temple, then they got Auburn. They also have Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Miami, Missouri, and LSU. Now, right now, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ranked teams. 8 ranked teams right now. Now, granted, Missouri might not be ranked by then. Auburn might not be ranked in 2 weeks when they play. And, who knows what's going to happen with Ole Miss and Tennessee and all that stuff. But still, this schedule looks very daunting. But it is a good thing that they have Mr. John Napier, who is a playmaker. We're talking about a team that is going to be a force in the SEC. And through 2 weekends of football, there is not one team in the SEC that looks unbeatable right now. There isn't. Now, granted, some of them have not played, the stiffest of competition, but nobody looks like that they are world beaters at this point in time. Nobody looks like, oh my gosh, like Georgia a few years ago when their defense was so scary that you couldn't even possibly even think about scoring on them. That's not what we're seeing. So this Oklahoma team is going to be a problem in the SEC. But I do want to point out that Michigan, for all of the talk about, anything around this program, Jerome Moore is building things the right way. He's recruiting well. Kids are going to want to go there, and they are continuing the level of physicality that helps you play really good football. Now, the next game that we have to talk about, that South Florida versus Florida game. And Florida's athletic director today, he came out and talked about about their head coach, Mr. Billy Napier. Gave him another vote of confidence. And this was the same thing that he did last season. Now, I understand the frustration with fans with losing to South Florida because the amount of money that you spend and have in your recruiting budget compared to South Florida ain't it. These things aren't even remotely the same. But the issue is that the expectations are not matching the consistency expected. Because Florida, who their next game is against LSU this weekend, this is a game that Florida turns around and wins. And that's why fans are frustrated with Billy Napier. But you do have to exercise some level of patience, even in an impatient world. That means that you are starting to get things right on some level, but yo-yoing, and I've talked about this so many times, that yo-yoing drives fans mad. Fans would rather you suck completely or be completely dominant. It's the lukewarm, like, yeah, we're great this week. Oh my God, we lost to an inferior team next week. Same thing. When you do this, fans are going to be frustrated. And Billy Napier is back on the hot seat talk. But I'm happy that the athletic director gave the vote of confidence because that will keep his team fully engaged. And if he can keep his team engaged and together, they will have a chance. But my biggest question is about DJ Lagway. is DJ, like, how healthy are we really believing that DJ Lagway is? Because, you know, 23 for 33 for 222, a touchdown and a pick, that doesn't look terrible. But if you notice, not running the ball quite as much, and also a lot of short passes. And some of the deep passes are getting missed because of the lack of practice time in the spring. So I am going to give DJ Lagway a little bit of a pass. No spring ball, hurt to start spring fall camp, and I expected a slow start this season. But this offense only being able to put up 16 points is a significant problem. Now, they ran the ball fairly well, 31 for 133 and for 4.3 yards a carry. But the issue is you're not having explosive runs. One 15-yard run, 997. You got to be able to run the ball at a high clip, because when you look at the team that they played, South Florida, who is looking like the best group of five team by far right now. Byron Brown, their quarterback, 20-yard rush. Alvin Isaac, 22-yard rush. Those are the type of explosive plays. So they ran the ball 29 times for 128, 4.4 yards a carry. And that is what is concerning, is that it wasn't that Nico Grammatica 20-yard walk-off field goal, and it wasn't even the 87-yard touchdown drive that led up to it. The issue for the Florida Gators is that they look like they are not a disciplined football team. Can you imagine one of Nick Saban's players, and I know we use him, but like spitting on somebody in a crucial point in time in the game? Now, granted, like, you can't control somebody spitting on somebody if you're the head coach, but there's a culture surrounding your team of good decision making, especially in crucial times. Like, yes, you may get a holding penalty or something like that, maybe a weird roughing the passer call, just something like that, but not anything just foolish. And the Gators had 11 penalties for 103 yards. They had a PI and an ejection for spitting on the game-winning drive. So they literally helped South Florida out. Bad tackling, a bad punt snap, everything surrounding it. So yes, Florida looks to be a better team than South Florida, but no matter how talented a team is, because we get to talking about talent all the time, and I want you guys to pay attention to this. No matter how talented a team is, if a team cannot execute when it matters the most, you're not going to win football games, even against inferior opponents. The next game that we got to talk about, I got to talk about the Oregon Ducks for a second, because Oklahoma State went out there to Eugene to play the Oregon Ducks. And now, mind you, I want you guys to pay attention to these rankings for a second. I'm going to put up today's FPI and AP poll. And the reason why this matters is I want to talk about this Oregon-Oklahoma State game, because nobody is really talking about the Oregon Ducks right now. They have played two opponents. Montana State, who is a very, very good FCS team. They came into the season ranked number 1, I believe. So that means highly thought of, right? And then they played against Oklahoma State, which is a Big 12 team. Now, Oklahoma State went winless in the Big 12 last year. So, and they got like 640 new transfers, all of this stuff. When you watch this Oregon Ducks team play, and I'm going to be completely honest, remember, I told you that this is the show of truth today. This is the show of truth. That Oklahoma State went to go to Eugene. And I watched this. This was a complete destruction from the beginning. It was 41-3 at halftime. 9 different people scored, 631 yards. Dante Moore, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, back-to-back pick sixes. I do not care. As a former Oregon player, this game, I expected this to happen. 28.5-point favorites. I'm going to tell you this. About the Oregon Ducks, I am too nervous to get excited. That is the truth. This Oregon team looks phenomenal. We've heard that this is the most talented team that they have ever had. But you know what last season did to me? If I'm being honest, it broke me. I feel like I was in a relationship, and then I walked in and I found my wife in the bed with my best friend. That's what happened in the Rose Bowl last year. That's the way I felt. 13-0, got through the regular season, all this stuff. And no, I don't care about the 25 days off. I know it impacted the team. Don't care about it. But this was one of them years where you're like, oh my God, this was a national championship type team. And then you go to the Rose Bowl, and for whatever the reasons are, you get your heart ripped out because you get your ass whooped. Like whooped, handed to you, and packed in a lunch pail and made you go but walk back to Eugene. Gave you a wedgie, dumped you in the toilet, gave you a swirly. That's how bad it was. So for the Oregon Ducks this season, I don't even care what they do in the regular season. I don't care whether they go undefeated. I don't care whether they lose 2 games. Just make it to the playoff and then win games. Because my heart was broken so badly last year that I can't even get excited. And this is also one of the problems with, and I know that some of you guys have experienced this as well, is when you are a fan and your team has some success, there becomes a level of jadedness where you are like, bro, like where you can't even be happy about stuff like this. So I'm going to try to find a way that I hope that you guys can too when your team has some success, that we don't taint it, right? That we don't taint it, and we can actually enjoy it for what it is, and don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what happens 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. Let's live in the moment. As college football coaches tell us, be where our feet are. I tell my kids that all the time. And, you know, so we need to do this too. But I will tell you, for teams that are preparing for Oregon, like Penn State in a couple weeks, because Oregon has Nebraska next week on big noon kickoff, and then they got Oregon State, and then the week after that, they go to Happy Valley to play Penn State. Now, if you are Penn State and you are preparing for Oregon, if you are Northwestern, if you are Oregon State, Oregon's offensive coordinator, Will Stein, looks like the best offensive coordinator in all of college football right now. Watch them play. The amount of different shifts, the amount of different formations, the amount of different uh, personnel groups, everything in between. It looks so phenomenally different right now than a lot of other teams uh, are giving you. This man is poised. Oregon's offensive coordinator, Will Stein. He will be somebody's head coach probably after this season. So if you like what you're seeing out of Oregon, that might be your guy. But let's talk about Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State for a while. Now, and I'm going to be as honest and transparent as I can possibly be. Now, I'm a person, and you guys make sure that you guys like up, subscribe, tell a friend about the show. George Wrighster, former NFL player, college football analyst. You'll see me this week on the Miami South Florida game. Well, in pre and post game on CW. So, Mike Gundy, and I have a relationship with a ton of college football coaches. Was texting Mario Cristobal the other day, have relationships with a lot of coaches around the country. So this makes me uneasy to say, because I am welcome in a lot of these buildings. I am privy to a lot of private conversations. And so calling for coaches' jobs or saying that coaches are not doing a good enough job and need a replacement or something is touchy territory. But the truth is, Mike Gundy, college football in 2025 has passed Mike Gundy by. Actually, it passed him by in 2023, and he didn't see it. There's a reason why Oklahoma State needed 40 transfers. When you are a person who's been at a program as long as Mike Gundy has, there is no reason that you should have these big swings like you're having right now. But Mike Gundy believed that NIL and the transfer portal were going to go away. He lost his roster, lost his way, does not understand college football right now. And I'm going to give you 3 examples why. Now, in 2022, Oklahoma State lost to Kansas State by 48 points. The third largest loss in Mike Gundy's career. Been there well over a decade. In 2024, that was last season, they lost at Colorado by 52 points. Yes, the Colorado, the Fighting Buffaloes, the Fighting Deion Sanders, Shador, Travis Hunter, everybody in between. They lost by 52 points to Colorado. And now you lose to Oregon by 66 points in 2025. You are taking massive losses. That means you are nowhere even near the stratosphere. So this is not a knock on anything that Mike Gundy had done prior to the last 3 years, because he had Oklahoma State competitive. He has had them ranked in the top 10 before, major bowl games, everything in between. So this is not that. This is not a disparaging of a man's career. However, in the new age of college football, you have to have people in your leadership positions who can adapt and react, because college football is changing at a pace that it is hard for most to keep up with. So if you are a coach who is not going to adapt to what is happening in real time without overreacting, you are not going to have success in college football. And I know that a lot of people are looking at it like, well, it's too many changes. We need to go back to the old days. The old days ain't coming back. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. That's just the reality of the situation. All right. Now we got to talk about Ole Miss, because this Ole Miss versus Kentucky game. Ole Miss got kept out of the college football playoff last year, largely due to this Kentucky game. And now I'm looking at Ole Miss, because a lot of people are like, George, why didn't you have Ole Miss in your top 25 coming into the season? If you watch the Kentucky game, that's exactly why I did not have them in my top 25. This is exactly what I expected from Ole Miss. They are a solid football team. This is a team that is built for 2026 and not for 2025. And they're going to be able to beat a special team. Oh, excuse me. They're not going to be able to beat a special team, but they can beat the good ones. And they're going to struggle with consistency, and that is going to be 2025 Ole Miss. 2026 should be another one of those years that you have a chance to make the college football playoff. But this ain't that year. And it is largely because Ole Miss's roster last year was built so transfer portal heavy that it is going to take multiple recruiting classes and development to be able for Ole Miss to be able to churn over playoff teams year after year. That's not where their roster is at this point in time. Now, the kid that they have starting the quarterback, Austin Simmons, young kid, what is he, like 18 now? Finally, he's already been in college for 2 years. He went 13 for 24 for 235 and 2 interceptions. And they started out in a 10-0 hole against Kentucky. But Kentucky suffers from the same thing that Kentucky suffers from pretty much every recent year. Their offense stinks in terms of being able to efficiently move the football. They're having quarterback, like Zach Calzada is a good quarterback. They haven't found, a special quarterback yet, and he's on his like 7th year of college football. And it's just not like connecting the way that I know that Kentucky fans have hoped with Mark Stoops at this point in time. They put together a hell of a defense year after year. But you do have to get the offense right on some level, whether it's personnel or scheme. Now, one thing that Kentucky might consider, and this is a play on like Kentucky's a team that needs a schematic advantage. They need to run something that everybody else does not run. Because Kentucky and Mark Stoops has proven this since he's been there. They have not been able to recruit at the level that you are going to be able to play traditional offense and win. So Kentucky either has to go to the air raid, the go-go offense, or like some sort of gimmick offense. They must go to it if they want to have success, because you have to do something that the other teams don't see every week. Go to the triple option for all that. You have to come up with a gimmick that nobody else sees and get your personnel to fit the gimmick. So mind you, Kentucky needs a gimmick to be able to have success in the SEC. They are beating their head against the wall doing what they're doing right now. If you're Alabama, you don't need a gimmick. LSU, you don't need a gimmick. If you are Rutgers, you probably need a little bit of a gimmick in the Big 12. I'm sorry, in the Big 10. I think you understand the point. When you are down in a talent deficiency compared to the people that you're playing against, you have to have something special and unique. You can't just run the same thing and think that everything is right. And I'm gonna give you another example of this. This is just like when in this industry here on YouTube or TikTok or wherever else, you have to have something that differentiates you from everybody else. I have to have something that differentiates me from JD Pickell and Josh Pate and everybody else. Got to have my own style, my own flair that separates me from them. The same thing in college football. All right, now let's take a peek at these rankings, right? I got to give you a peek at these rankings that came out today, the AP rankings and the FPI. Now, I am tired. The FPI makes my head hurt, and the FPI is the one over here in the black. The ESPN FPI, which is the now strength of schedule and all this stuff, are now being factored into the college football playoff and who is going to make the top 12. Well, look at the AP poll over here on this side in gray, and then the ESPN FPI. And the reason why this matters is because I have lamented the FPI rankings for so many, and just point out the hypocrisy every single week. Now, mind you, and the reason why that this matters is because it is going to directly impact who makes the college football playoff. Now, here's what I want you to point out. Oregon, let's start at the top. Oregon jumped up to number 1 in the in the ESPN FPI. Now, mind you, I do my rankings and those will be out on Tuesday. My rankings are based upon 3 criteria: schedule played, quality wins, and dominance, which I think are the most important things. FPI factors in historical data, recruiting rankings, all this stuff. What does that matter for this particular season? Let's look at Alabama. They continuously are ranked extreme. Well, actually, Oregon first. Oregon has played Montana State and a terrible Oklahoma State team. And they jumped up all the way to the top of the FPI with that. They jumped up 6 spots. Now, the next thing I want you to point out, look at Alabama. Alabama, the same Alabama team that lost to Florida State last week, that same Alabama moved up 9 spots after beating number 4 Louisiana, to number 4 after beating Louisiana Monroe. And do you know who's sitting outside of this ranking at number 26? Florida State, the team that just routed this weekend and already beat Alabama, but Alabama's number 4. Why? Because their recruiting ranking is high. What does it matter if Alabama has lost 5 out of their last 10 games? And we're sitting here talking about this. This is where the nonsense goes. Miami, the Miami Hurricanes, who beat Notre Dame. Where is Miami? They fell to number 21. They fell 6 spots, while 0-1 Notre Dame is sitting at number 10. Who Miami beat? Can anybody make it make sense? Hop in the comments and tell me, because I will um, get to it. Oh, funny comments in the chat right now. And this one was about Dan Lanning. They said, "Do you believe that what is my level of concern that Dan is going to get arrested for violating Oregon Statute 166.087 on live television, mutilating a corpse? Oh man, good lord." Anyways, okay, let me finish the AP thing. So USF is 15 spots behind Florida. In it, Florida is number 23 in the rankings. South Florida is number 38. Okay, make it make sense. Arkansas Razorbacks are at number 18. They moved up 10 spots after wins against AAMU and Arkansas State. How do we factor these things in? How? How is Arkansas? What has Arkansas done so far to even be ranked? Historical data don't even say that. Iowa State fell 7 to number 31. What are we doing here with the FPI? Somebody make it make sense to me, because I feel like they ain't gonna let common sense get in the way of their argument, and people are gonna continue to justify. Oh well, see, it's different. It takes this and it's garbage. The algorithm is broken. And be like, oh well, you don't like what the computers do. Do you realize that humans tell the algorithms how to formulate things? So this algorithm is specifically designed to give you what it is getting. Yeah. And that's the question. Why is Notre Dame at number 10? They haven't managed to win a game yet this season. They're 0-1. What are we doing? Come on, man. We continue to try, and the AP poll is doing the same thing. We continue to rank teams based upon how good we think that they are, regardless of what they have put on film. And that, my friends, is ridiculous. We cannot do that. We can't. Look at Clemson. Clemson is number 12. I picked Clemson in the AP poll. Clemson is number 12. I picked Clemson number 1 coming into the season. I picked Clemson to win the national championship. There is nothing that Clemson has put on film against LSU or this week against Troy that even leads you to believe that this is one of the 25 best teams in America, if we're being honest, and I love Dabo. But what they're putting on film with their offensive line, it ain't it. Their defense looks legit. That offensive line, it ain't it. And this offense ain't cutting it right now. We gotta be honest and we gotta be real. Come on, people. And yeah, like let's be real about this. What has South Carolina done at this point in time to warrant being number 11 in the country? Schedule play, quality wins, and dominance in my poll, and this is why my poll's better. All right, let's get back to business. Let's get back to the order of business. Now, I wanted to also talk to you guys about a team. Well, actually, we'll go Texas versus San Jose State first, because this was a 38 to 7 win or something like it. It was a big win for Texas, right? So I left this and I want to give you the exact score the way I'm not the way I can quote it completely right. So it was 38 to 7. I had it right. I left this Texas versus San Jose State game feeling like I ate great mashed potatoes, but they were cold. Like the flavor, you're like, oh man, if these were hot, oh man, it'd be fire. I got cold mashed potatoes out of the game because Texas's defense overwhelmed San Jose State. But San Jose State was moving the football. Their quarterback was making bad decisions. And you're like, oh, wow, this is a team that could have competed with some competent quarterback play. And then you're looking at Arch Manning in the first half, and you're like, oh, 4 touchdown passes. But if we're being honest, mechanics, his confidence, it is still nowhere near this generational thing that we have expected. And I believe that the expectations on Texas need to be tempered dramatically. This is a team that should hope to make the college football playoff this year. But they have the fortunes of having they got a layup last week with San Jose State. Then they get UTEP Sam Houston State. Then they're at Florida, Oklahoma, at Kentucky, at Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Arkansas, and Texas A&M. That ain't exactly what Oklahoma has to face. Because Oklahoma, on the other hand, you look at their schedule, and I already talked about it. They still got Auburn, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, and LSU and Missouri. One of these schedules does not look like the other. So Texas fans, Texas needs expectations need to be tempered. This is a team that you should hope that it gets to the college football playoff and is peaking at this point in time. Because Arch Manning, when you watch him play, he makes throws, you're like, damn, that's dope. And he's clearly talented, but the noise is bothering him at this point in time. And you guys can weigh in. What do you think about Arch Manning? And you guys, please, I know you guys the channel is continuing to grow, and I appreciate it. Make sure that you share it with a friend. So what do you guys think about Arch Manning? Throw it in the chat. And also we're gonna get into some message board stuff in a minute too, but love it. We got to talk about some teams as well that people don't want to talk about. People want to ignore. They want to ignore the Illinois Fighting Illini because their history is garbage. Like, they do not have a football-rich tradition at Illinois. But this year, in 2025, we're not talking about 2024 where they won 10 games. We're talking about not 2026. In 2025, Illinois is a college football playoff team. They returned 16 starters. I know Pat McAfee kept saying 19, but that ain't it. And you guys keep being active in the chat. Love to see it. They beat Duke 45-19. And this just goes to show that whether it's Illinois or whether it's Oregon or whether it's South Carolina or LSU, defense travels. And so when your team is playing against Illinois, you better watch out. You better watch out because Luke Altmaier looks really good. Really, really good. And the 296 yards, 3 touchdowns, distributing the football. Illinois is going to cause a major problem for some teams this season. And when you look at their schedule, I want you to see who they have a legitimate chance to beat despite the television telling you otherwise. Because the television is not going to tell you the true story about Illinois football until they go off and beat somebody. They got Western Michigan, then they got Indiana, that USC game in a couple of weeks on September 27th. That's the game I want you to circle because Illinois is going to beat USC. You can book it, write it down. I mean, we're saying some injury to Luke Altmaier or Gabe Jacobs or somebody else for Illinois, that is going to be a win. I can't wait to talk about that week. The next game that we got to talk about, Baylor versus SMU. This was a game where I want to point out that we are in a historic time with Baylor football right now because Baylor football is possibly, and mind you, they had a 48-45 win over SMU. This was the most Big 12. If you want to know what the Big 12 is as a conference or was as a conference, this game is it. This game is it. This was a 38-24 game with 8 minutes and 38 left, and Baylor forced overtime with scores at 5:23 and 34 seconds. Now their wide receivers, Josh Cameron, 9 for 151 and a touchdown. Ashton Hawkins, 10 for 145. Kobe Prentice had a touchdown. SMU had matchup issues all day. But the historic thing about what we are watching with Baylor right now is that Dave Aranda and Baylor, they are not supporting their quarterback Sawyer Robertson, who has immense talent, with a competent defense, is criminal. This is criminal. And Dave Aranda was a LSU's defensive coordinator before he got this job, was absolutely stoning people, shutting people down. He gets to Baylor, can't put a competent offense together, brings over Jake Spavital, offense goes crazy, defense falls apart. But the bright spot for Baylor is this. And the bright spot, if you're a college football fan, the reason why you want to watch Baylor is for their quarterback, Sawyer Robertson. Because what's happening at Baylor is exactly how Jaden Daniels won the Heisman at LSU. What Sawyer Robertson is doing. Except for he ain't just racking up big yards against bad teams. Because Sawyer Robertson, for the second week in a row, over 400 yards. This time, it was 34 for 50 for 440 yards. So in two games of football versus Auburn, oh, damn, that's a good football team. 27 for 48, 419, 3 touchdowns. This week, threw for 440 and 4 touchdowns. Man ain't thrown a pick, and he's thrown the ball 98 times against Power 4 opponents. He's not playing. These were not 2 layup games. And this defense, honestly, is the most that a defense has ever wasted a quarterback's talent since Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech, Jaden Daniels at LSU, and Jared Goff at Cal. Think about this. Jared Goff at Cal, where Jake Spavital was the OC, was in 2016. That team went 5-7 and they averaged 37 points a game and had Jared Goff at quarterback and still went 5-7 with 37 points a game. That is what we are looking at Baylor right now. So for anybody pointing at Arch Manning in 2026 at the top of the draft and all this stuff, watch out for Sawyer Robertson. Whether it's John Napier, whoever else you want to put at the top of the 2026 NFL draft, you better start looking at Sawyer Robertson. Book it. And let me look at the chat real quick. They said Auburn good. Well, yes, Auburn is a competent team. We don't know how good they are yet, but they have good players. And then was asked, how many teams actually have a legitimate chance to win the Big Ten? I think that there are 3. You got Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. That's who has a legitimate chance to win. Now, Illinois has a chance to ruin somebody's season in terms of winning the Big Ten. And through tiebreakers and all this stuff, they could end up in the Big Ten championship. Definitely could. But I do believe it. Well, so in that case, I'll give it a 4-team race when it comes to the Big Ten. And yes, Indiana, but I think that we're going to figure out real quick where Indiana is, particularly after they play Illinois. But we're seeing better play out of Michigan State. The Big Ten is not for games right now. USC looks much improved. Washington looks really good. Wisconsin is better. Michigan, we've seen them. This is the best college football conference in America right now. It's the truth. I know people don't want to hear it. Now, speaking of LSU played La Tech, Louisiana Tech. They won 23-7. Now, on one hand, I do believe that this was a bit of a letdown after their big win against Clemson. Don't think that they came in with the same level of focus. Brian Kelly was on every show imaginable. Happy as you ain't never heard Brian Kelly this consistently happy as he was after getting his first after getting the win at Clemson. He was like, "Oh yeah," but I'm gonna tell you, it was inflated. That win against Clemson was significantly inflated compared to what it really was. Because Clemson right now on offense is not a very good football team. So, how good is Blake Baker, their defensive coordinator? Because so far, he is earning his money. I think they're giving up 17 points in 2 games. And yes, and Garrett Nussmeier in this game against La Tech, 237 and a touchdown. Productive, but they left points out there. So, when I look at this LSU team, I am not going to hold this loss against them the same way that other people would or teams would. And the main reason why is because I do believe that they had a hangover from that Clemson win. Now, at the same time, when you have a team that plays to the level of the competition, you can run into issues because sustained focus is the hardest thing to do. So now they are going to try to ratchet it up again versus Florida. That means that practice intensity is going to be up again. So when you watch this game against Florida this week, preview will be out tomorrow. Watch it. This is a game that you got to pay attention to. This is a game that you got to pay attention to because this is a game LSU can lose. Just telling you. But I do like their wide receivers, Barry and Brown, Aaron Anderson. You know, they look very, very good there. Um, Now, last game that I want to talk about. Well, actually, two more games that we got to talk about significantly. We got to talk about Arizona State versus Mississippi State. Now, Arizona State fans were a little bit upset with me when the season started, and people were like, because I did not have them going back to the college football playoff because I did not believe the Big 12 was going to get two bids, and and unless and now in hindsight, I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, Utah looks like the best team in the conference at this point in time with Napier at quarterback. So Arizona State went to Mississippi State and they got absolutely destroyed in the first half. They were down and it was like, wait, what? What? So I know that nobody got a chance to see Arizona State's first game because the ESPN feed cut out, but here was the synopsis. Penalties. Penalties all over the place for them. They had hella penalties in that game, and they proceeded to keep that same energy in this game, and it is the reason why they were down 17-3 at halftime. And the three didn't come until a field goal at the to end the half, literally. This was a program statement win for Jeff Lebby. It's their first top 15 non-conference win for Mississippi State since 1991. Now, granted, they haven't played a lot of top non-conference opponents, but this is their first one since 1991. And I came into this game. Remember, I gave you guys the preview this week, things to watch for in week 3. And I said Arizona State to see if they were for real. They are not for real right now. Their quarterback, John Napier, I believe that he read a lot of press clippings this offseason, and he's got to get back to business. He got to shrink it back down because he's a really good football player. But he is keyed in on Jordan Tyson, their all-star, potentially first-round wide receiver, way too much. It just is. And they're not being as efficient as they can be. They finished this game with what? I think another penalty-ridden game. And Mississippi State, they logged 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, and Hunter Washington sealed the deal. Because Arizona State, after being down 17-0, they fought back. They outgained Mississippi State 231-59 after halftime. But it was that last, but it was the last drive. What? Well, actually, the next to last drive. Arizona State, 17 plays, 95 yards. Stalled at the 1 yard line and settled for a field goal with a minute and 38 left. 17 played 95 yards. You come away with a field goal. You can't win on the road like that. The fans are trying to blame the cowbells and everything else. Cowbells didn't beat you. Bad play beat you. So, and speaking of that, I owe a big time apology. I owe a big time apology for this. Um, Here is my playoff bracket from this year. Do you know who ain't making the college football playoff from this bracket? Number 7, Kansas State. Boot them up out of here. So I apologize for telling y'all and lying to y'all, making y'all believed that this was going on, that they were going to make the college football playoff. So I apologize. And Clemson is on the ropes too. I know that they only lost one game, but they are on the ropes too. Kansas State lost to Army. And we are going to finish this episode with the fast break. And what the fast break segment is, these are the games that you didn't watch, but I watched for you, that I paid attention to the way you didn't have to watch it. Now, the Syracuse UConn game, overtime game, you didn't need to watch it. The thing that you did need to watch is after the game, because Fran Brown, their head coach, made his team run sprints after the game. On the field at home, oh, he's so old school. And he's one of the few coaches that can have that old school mentality and still relate to the players and not have them hop in the portal after that. I did have a question in the chat, though. Why put all the best teams on the left side of the bracket? I don't understand what you mean. Everybody's in it was talking about the college football playoff bracket. Have all the teams on the. What do you want me to do? They are ranked according to seeding. I mean, ranked according to rankings. Like, I'm not picking and choosing. Just is what it is. That's how you had Oregon and Ohio State played in the first round. Can't doctor it. So more on the fast break. You had Alabama beat ULM 73-0. Nothing to talk about there. That doesn't mean Alabama is back. Everything's not fixed. Nothing to pay attention to. Here it was a 73-0 game. They dominated in every aspect. Yes, you can get up and play ULM. Let's see what happens when you actually get some comp. Let's see what happens, Alabama. What you really talking about when you go when you get Wisconsin next week and then you go to Georgia in 2 weeks. Talk to us then. We don't care about this. Florida State 77-3 over East Texas A&M. If you can drop in the chat, what city is East Texas A&M in? I don't know. You don't know. This is not this doesn't. Congratulations, Florida State. You are 2-0. A game that it was a little bit concerning. Penn State versus FIU, 34-0. Now, Penn State's defense, nothing to be concerned about there. Penn State's offense, something to be concerned about there, because them completing passes to their wide receivers has proven extremely difficult. This has proven extremely difficult. And Drew Aller in this game, 19 for 33 for 200 yards. What are we doing? Katron Allen and Singleton, they're doing their thing, running the football, offensive line doing their thing. It's the passing part. And this is why I told you I'm not in on Drew Aller and not in on Penn State winning the national championship, even though everything is stacked in their favor. Texas A&M 44, Utah State 22. Marcel Reed, their quarterback, is allegedly healthy. He started the game, accounted for 4 touchdowns, 3 passing, 1 rushing. Left the game late in the third quarter. Fell weird. Mike Elko, their head coach, said that he'll be fine. But they looking good. The new toys are popping. KJ Concepcion, 6 for 73, 2 tubs. Mario Carver, 5 for 114 and a tub. Terry Bussey, 34-yard touchdown. Come on, man. And their backup quarterback, Miles O'Neal, 72-yard bomb. Hey, this team, we will see after this Notre Dame game. Notre Dame wins that game, they'll be fine. If Notre Dame lose that game, out of the college football playoff. See you next Sunday. Well, see you next year. Georgia versus Austin Peay, 28-6. A little bit concerning that Georgia only scored 28 points. I will tell you that. But Frazier and Bowens, they ran well for Georgia. As a team, they went for 190 yards on 40 carries and 4 touchdowns. But we're going to see what Georgia is really made out of pretty soon, because there are a lot of questions surrounding this team. And that wasn't exactly what you wanted to see when they played Austin Peay. Last thing, Ohio State versus Grambling, 77-0. The only thing that mattered in this game was the bands. You had Ohio State's band and Grambling's band on the field. That was the best part of this game. There was nothing to even talk about. Congratulations, Grambling, getting a good payday to go out there and get beat up, but it is what it is. But you guys, though, we got so much coming this week on the Unafraid Show. Live show on Tuesday, College Football Apostles. On Thursday, we have another live show with the best things of the week, the things that you need to watch for. So make sure that you like, subscribe, share, tell a friend about the show. Most importantly, thank you for being one of us and making this one of the top college football channels where we tell the truth. I give you the honest stuff, and then when I'm on TV this week, I'm going to give y'all a shout this week when you watch the pregame of the South Florida-Miami game. So make sure that y'all say what's up to me on Twitter, on Instagram, on wherever else, because I'm here. I'm one of y'all, man, telling you the truth. Peace out.